Welcome everybody. Pull up a chair. Get comfortable.
Pull up a chair, get a nice drink, hot drink, cold drink, fun drink, not so fun drink, whatever you want.
Get a fun drink, especially if you're on the East Coast. 7 o'clock here. It's the happy hour and some.
Well, as my mom always says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere,
I think Jimmy Buffett said that, but maybe it
My
was
mom says that. Well, I doubt my mom got it from Jimmy Buffett, but I'm sure she got it from somebody. She did not make that up.
No, she did
She just
not.
uses it.
We go VT. Let's go Hokies. The Hokies, Peggy, are coming into my backyard this weekend.
Nice.
They're at Boston College, so we're all excited. So we're gonna have a big Hokie crew. We got a big New England Hokie tailgate, New England Hokie family and friends. It's gonna be a whole to do. So let's go Hokies indeed. Yes. We got a couple fun drinks out there already. Couple things put in the chat. Number one, what fun drinks are you all enjoying? If you are, but we always like to know where you're at in the country. We're usually very or on planet Earth.
Or in the world.
We're always very Coca-Cola. That's fun. That's a fun drink. And here we go. Columbus, Ohio, Texas. Energy drink. Hopefully not on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's a little late.
Scottsdale,
New Jersey.
Scottsdale. Beautiful. Jersey, love it. Yeah, we're again
Jersey people.
Newton, Mass. There we go.
Somebody's on vacation and they're on our webinar. Wow.
That's when you know we're good, Peggy. That's when you know we're good.
Yeah, wow.
We better deliver. Okay, so welcome NSHSS parents, students, families. I think it's predominantly, and again, if you're still in the mood for sharing, I think predominantly we're talking to the class of 2024 parents, but if you want to confirm or deny that, let us know that as well. And obviously it's officially game time here. You guys are in the throes of it, and that's great. And I see a couple of 25s in here. Awesome. Yeah. Believe me, you're not too early. That much I promise you. But yeah, plenty of 24s here. So if you're new to us, thank you. We're excited that you decided to engage here. My name's Matt Carpenter. We are College Aid Pro. I will introduce Peggy, and of course Peggy will introduce herself in a second here. But our whole deal, I mean, I've been doing this. Class 2024 is the 19th class, 19th year that I've guided families through this process. So I've been on the front lines for thousands of times over, quite literally, and probably worked with every college that you've heard of, and most, obviously every single family and student is unique, but I like to think I've come close to seeing it all. Me and Peggy were actually just trading war stories in the green room before we went live here. Guys are always keeping us fresh. So this is what we love to do, right? This is a overwhelming process. This is a stressful process. If you feel overwhelmed, stressed out, what should I be doing, not doing? I promise you are in good company. That's how you should be feeling in a lot of ways, right? That is the norm. So you're not alone. And our goal is to try to just provide education and transparency and clarity. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit more empowered, and we can bring that stress level down a few percentage points. There's no such thing as a silver bullet here, but we're going to do our very best. We will do our best on questions tonight as well. As you have them, please put those in the Q&A as opposed to the chat, because that's where we live. We live in the Q&A. Whichever one of us is not speaking is going to do our best to answer questions. Just a couple of caveats there. Just by the nature of the volume, the amount of folks in the room tonight, we're not going to get to every question. And we're not going to be able to answer really specific questions because we just require more context. So when you ask us things about who should be the custodial parent, how should we value this property or a business, etc., it's unlikely we're going to be able to provide much value in this setting. But we'll tell you how you can get your kind of family specific questions answered when we wrap tonight. But lots to cover. I want to make sure we get to the content. You are in outstanding hands tonight. I'm in Salem, Mass. Peggy's on the other coast here in Seattle. This is the fairy godmother of financial aid. She has lived and breathed this both professionally and as a mother of twins. So I think she's about as best suited as a human being as you're going to find amongst us. So say hi and
Wow.
take us away, Peggy.
Wow. What can I say after that?
Nothing.
Yeah, so just like Matt, this is what gets me out of bed every day. I live and breathe this stuff. Had my own business doing it, started in the financial industry. I'm a financial planner at heart, big fat nerd around planning. And then started digging in just really exclusively on this sort of stuff, really because of my kids. Because I saw how complicated it was, and I saw how many people we're just kind of drifting through this. So our theme here is kudos for being here. You're going to learn. And, after you learn everything tonight, you got to keep the ball rolling too, because drifting is a very expensive proposition and it's a very stressful one. So,
And Peggy, one more thing to add before you get us cooking, especially if you're new. For those of you that have been with us, you know this, but we always reward our live audiences with some specific, unique kind of giveaways and discounts. So stick around to the end. You will be incentivized to do so. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, good call. And we will send out a recording tomorrow, but we like to reward our live people. So, all right, let me share my screen here. So as Matt said, we are College Aid Pro, and this truly is our mission to end the student debt crisis by empowering you to shop smarter for college. And as I just said, understanding this and digging in to a certain extent is what you need to do, right? Because otherwise it's a little weird how this whole thing works. So we're gonna kind of tune you into that, and then we're gonna be talking about the CSS profile tonight, and all of this is good stuff as far as is getting yourself educated. So there we are. So everybody should have received an email probably midday or morning, depending on where you are today. I'm encouraging you to set up your free MyCap account. If you haven't done it, Matt's going to put this link in the chat. Strongly recommend you do it. It doesn't take long to get yourself onboarded, because in a minute, Matt's going to start talking about student aid indexes and what they mean. And that directly relates to the CSS profile and the FAFSA. And as he's going through that, if you have already done it, awesome. Hopefully just open that if you don't have it open to the side. And as he's teaching you about SAIs, you'll be able to see yours. You'll be able to see, hey, are we eligible for need-based aid at some schools and not others, or not at all, or whatever it is for your family, because everybody's unique in this process. So strongly recommend that you go in there and just click get started for free and get that set up if you haven't done it yet. All right, turn it back over to you.
You got these first couple, buddy.
Oh, you want me to take these? Okay, great. So basically,
excuse me, were you at pregame, Peggy?
Yes, and I thought you were doing.
Were you at pregame?
I was at pregame. No, I was having my fun drink. That's what I was.
Clearly.
I was pre-gaming, as my 30-year-olds like to say. Yes, I was pre-gaming hard. Just kidding, everybody. Okay, so how does financial aid work? Basically, all the schools are discounting. They're all on sale, if you will. It's just a matter of how they discount. And so this is really important to understand how the colleges discount, but then even more importantly, where you fit and where you're going to get discounts. So let's talk about how they're doing this. They take their sticker price, which the formal term is cost of attendance, tuition fees, room and board, books, travel, and expenses, and personal expenses. And they offer families these 3 buckets. You might get all 3, you might get 1, you might get 2, whatever. It depends on your family. The first bucket is need-based grants. And as the name is hinting, you have to have financial need. And that's why you're submitting financial aid forms, so that the colleges will assess that. So if they think you have need and they meet need, and all the schools meet need to a certain extent, you will get these need-based grants. It's free money. It's not money you're going to repay. It'll be from the federal government, potentially, your state, but most of it comes from the individual colleges. It's their endowment money. It's what we call institutional aid. Okay. That's given out for need. If you have your account open and you're looking along the top and you see your SAIs up there, there's 2 of them, and it's 110,000, say. Well, thank God, no schools cost that much yet. So you don't have need-based eligibility. But that doesn't mean that schools aren't going to offer discounts to your student. They might do it in the form of the middle bucket, merit-based scholarships. So this is based on, again, as the name kind of hints to, merit. So typically grades, test scores, but it can be athletics, it can be music, talent, whatever. So that's more based on your student, whereas the first one is based on your family as a whole, your financials. Both of those are free money. Merit's great. So it's almost always guaranteed for all 4 years, as long as the student maintains certain GPA. So those are the 2 buckets you want to maximize because it's the free stuff. The third bucket we call self-help. So that's loans and work study. So a part of a lot of families' college funding strategies, and that's fine. It's just obviously not free money. Your child's going to work for it, or it's loans that will need to be repaid. So these are the 3 buckets and how that works. So how do you know if you're eligible for need-based aid? Well, if you have your account open, you can see that, but just some nuts and bolts about how this works on the need-based side. This cost of attendance that I already mentioned, minus something called the Student Aid Index, so SAI for short. This is a new term. We're going to talk about the FAFSA changes in a few minutes. This is a terminology change that came from the new legislation. If you're familiar with this, you have older kids, if you're familiar with the term EFC, expected family contribution, that terminology was replaced with Student Aid Index. There's some differences in how it's calculated as well, but think of it as in the equation, it's cost of attendance minus SAI equals need. So if you fill out the FAFSA and when it goes live and you see in the next page that your student aid index is over 99,000, again, you don't have need. But if it's 40 and a school costs 80, it's 80 minus 40,000, and that means you have 40,000 of need. That doesn't mean the college is going to swoop in and give you 40,000 of need-based grants, but that's your need. And then you go from there to see how the college meets need and basically their financial aid policies and how they function as a business behind the scenes, because they're all big businesses. So that's how it works. So I'm sure the next thought in your mind is, okay, that's nice, but oh, I guess we're not getting into that level of detail. I was about to go into a slide that, let me just tell you, since I teed it up, and I'm sure you all can't wait to hear what I was going to say. Basically, the SAI has 2 parts. It's parent and student assets and parent and student income. Those are the 2 parts of the SAI. We're not getting in the weeds on that tonight because we want to have time to talk about the CSS profile. So, but that's the basics of it. So I will turn it over to you now.
Peggy, I want to go to your pregame. Are the Irish playing tonight? And I don't know.
I know, I'm really killing it tonight, aren't I?
Irish got a Wednesday night football game that I didn't know about. Okay.
I need to pregame for the Irish after last weekend. Yes.
All right. So looky. Okay. So let's kind of set the stage from a zoom out a little bit, but from a broader standpoint. And we've already been getting some questions that kind of fit into this slide. In terms of applying for financial aid overall. And to me, the most important thing to understand is that every school's different. You heard Peggy say the term that we use all the time internally and externally for that matter, because I think it's a good one. You have to look at each of these colleges as their own businesses, and you have to find out how they do business, right? This isn't a universal kind of deal here, right? It's not streamlined, and you guys have already had a lot of experience with that, or most of you, at least class 2024 families, through the admissions process, right? You've already applied to a handful of colleges, and you see this, a lot of them have the Common App. Some of them don't. They have their own applications. Some of them have supplemental essays. Others do not, right? They have different deadlines. Some of them you're test optional. Some of them you're not, right? So the point being, each college is a little bit different, different requirements, different deadlines. It's the same deal with financial aid. Okay. So as your list of colleges come to fruition, you need to be crystal clear. What does my college need? When do they need it? How do they need it? And you have to look at the financial aid process as just almost in a vacuum from the admissions process, right? They're two different buildings on these campuses, and that's how you want to look at it. I'm gonna give the admissions building what they need, when they need it, how they need it, and same for financial aid. And they don't necessarily, and usually do not, correlate. Even with deadlines, right? Oftentimes the deadlines are different from admissions and financial aid. Now, one constant that I can tell you, financial aid deadlines will never be before admissions deadline. So you don't need to worry about that, right? You're not in risk of the financial aid deadline being before the admissions deadline, but it could be on the same day, right? And of course, it matters if you apply early action versus early decision two versus regular or rolling admission. That's going to kind of correlate with the financial aid deadlines. But the takeaway, the headline is, you need to figure out, for the colleges we're applying to, what do they need? When do they need it by? Do not miss a deadline, guys. Don't miss a deadline. You cannot give these colleges any excuses to give you less money, because in most cases, if you do, they're going to take you up on it. Okay, so just, we would much rather your financial aid applications be completely wrong. You made 20 mistakes on each of them, but you got it in on time. That's a better result than being perfect and being one day late. Okay, so that's kind of the mindset. Deadlines first, perfection kind of after the fact. And you're not going to get communication, or at least don't expect good communication from these colleges to tell you, parent or parents, what they need and when they need it. The onus is on you to go figure that out proactively. And usually if communication comes home, it's going directly to the student. So keep that in mind. Students got to have their eyeballs all over this, and you might have to nudge them a little bit to make sure that you're peeking over their shoulder if they're not one of these kids that's completely dialed in. Go ahead, Peggy. Thanks. So for the FAFSA right now, I already got a bunch of
Matt, can you just explain what the FAFSA is just quickly? Because we've had a few questions about that.
Sure. So the FAFSA, this is the financial aid application that you need to anticipate that every single college is going to require. We will recommend universally that everybody completes and submits the FAFSA, regardless of whether you're going to be eligible for financial aid or not. There's multiple reasons why we think that makes a ton of sense. We won't get into all of them tonight, but that is certainly the headline. But this is the financial aid application that every college is going to require. If you're a class of 2024 family, you can't access it yet, right? You guys are the guinea pigs in a lot of ways. We'll go over some details, but this is a wild year. But the FAFSA is not accessible yet. The most precise date we have for when it will be is December. Okay. And our little birdies are telling us it's most likely to be end of December, maybe even into January. None of that is official. The only official thing at the moment is that it will be accessible in December. So this is something you are going to have to do, or at a minimum, we're going to recommend that you do. The only thing that you can do now with this particular application is create what's called an FSA ID, which is essentially a username and a password. The student is going to need to create one, and the parents are going to need to create one. And we have the link right in here. This is something that you can do now, and you might as well just check that box. And so you're ready to go and actually dive into this form once it does become accessible, in the coming weeks here. So yeah, I think those are the headlines for now. Peggy, you can take it away.
All right. So the other form, and somebody asked about this, so we're hitting your questions, is the CSS profile. And that's what we're going to get a little bit more in the weeds on tonight, because it is actually live. The FAFSA should be live, but it's not, like Matt mentioned. And so we're just waiting to hear when that's going to go live. So the CSS profile is a second form that about 200 colleges require in addition to the FAFSA, not in replacement of the FAFSA. And you will submit the FAFSA every year. So somebody wrote in and said, I already submitted, am I done? No, you submitted that for another school year. So the CSS, most schools require it every year. A few of them don't, or they might want a different form, but just expect to be doing these forms every year, definitely the FAFSA and most likely the CSS. So most of the schools that require the CSS in addition to the FAFSA are private schools. There's a few publics in there, UVA, William and Mary, Michigan, and UNC Chapel Hill. The rest of them are private. So this form is longer and it includes more. As I said earlier, when I was about to go into a slide that didn't exist, we're looking at non-retirement assets and income. But the CSS profile looks at the home you live in. So we call it your primary home. You might also have secondary real estate. Both forms look at that, and that's part of your asset base, the equity in your properties. So your home equity, market value minus mortgages, is a liquid asset. And some schools look at all of it, which is crazy, all the way to schools that don't look at any of it. So this is a huge planning opportunity. It's a huge area where you need to do some strategizing because it could move the needle significantly between two CSS profile schools, one that doesn't look at home equity and one that looks at all of it. It could be a massive difference. And this is part of the stuff that we do to support families because we have all that data. So if you're divorced or separated, both parents are submitting the CSS profile. But one is submitting the non-custodial CSS profile, and that's going to be the non-custodial parent. And the other parent with the student is submitting the custodial or just the regular CSS profile. So it's private. All of it goes to College Board, the company that does SAT and APs and PSAT. You log in with your child's login, and all that information is coming into College Board. Business owners, you have a business, that's all on the table now. And Matt will talk about that change in a little bit on the FAFSA, but CSS, it's always been on the table. They're going to want to know all about your business, and then you're going to upload all of your tax documents to these colleges so that they can review them. So it's actually, I think it's actually a good thing that you're doing this CSS first, because then when the FAFSA comes along, it's much shorter, and they've actually made it even shorter than last year with the legislation, the new changes. So the CSS is much more invasive and many, many more questions. So once you get this one out of the way, it'll feel lovely when you're actually looking at the FAFSA. All right, so I have gone in and made some screenshots for you. So let's look at this, because if I actually log into a CSS profile, you have to keep hitting save and continue to move anywhere, and you guys would go crazy if that's all I was doing. We're spending most of our time moving around the form. So we want to highlight some key things about the form. So if you've been in there, this maybe will be a oh moment, and if you haven't, kind of gives you a visual of it. So basically in this form, there's required questions and there's questions that aren't required. So you see here, there's a little word in parentheses. They don't make it red and huge, but it says required. It won't let you go from that page unless you put something there. So they're asking for your adjusted gross income. They're telling you exactly where to get it on your 1040. Just follow the instructions and put it on there. The questions that aren't required, that's your choice to submit them or not. And that's a strategy call as well. We tend to have people not answer a lot of those, but sometimes for a given family, it's like, you know what, I do think you should answer that for this reason. That'll help you put your best foot forward. And you're not answering them to be dishonest, because as I said a minute ago, you're going to be uploading all of your tax returns. So you're not trying to hide anything, but you know, my three kind of commandments here are: be honest, don't overestimate, and don't overshare. And it also makes it easier, right? If you're not filling in everything and potentially making a mistake. So down below here, you're going to notice there's a lot of questions like this that say blah, blah, yes or no, and there's boxes. If you choose not to answer this question, don't click on either box, because once you do, you can't release it. You can just toggle between the two. So just a little warning there. Really nice feature, really nice change that they started last year is when you share your adjusted gross.
Can I break in for 1 second here?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
It's unrelated to the current slide. You may have hit this, and I was too lost in the Q&A here, but we got a couple of questions. For these families that are in split household situations, right? Divorced or separated, whatever the dynamic happens to be. But we have a parent that's not willing to comply, right? They're applying to one of these colleges that requires a CSS profile from both households, but one of these parents is either not cooperative, we don't know where they are. Let's talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah. So if you have that situation, there's something called a non-custodial waiver. And you can Google that and you'll see it through College Board and you can download it. You want to fill that out and you're going to need to submit that to each college. You can't just upload it to College Board and it goes everywhere. Unfortunately, that's what you got to do. But if you have a real situation like that, it's well worth your time, because if the non-custodial parent doesn't send in their form and you haven't put in a waiver that's been approved, they will not give you any of their endowment money, any of that institutional need-based grants. And some schools even look for this form for merit. It's not super common, more common with the FAFSA. But so you want to make sure that your financial aid forms are complete. And as Matt said, get them in by the deadline. So you want to download that form and complete it and then get it to all the colleges. And a lot of people have really legit reasons. It's emotionally not healthy for the student to interact with the non-custodial parent in any way. Non-custodial parents off the grid, whatever it happens to be. So depending on the situation, if you talk to us one-on-one, we can give you a good feel for, is that likely to be approved? And all the schools are different, honestly, just like everything in this process. So you might have success at one school depending on your situation and not another, but that's the process. Download the non-custodial waiver and then submit it to the schools. So as I was saying, this is a change as of last year, which I think is a great one. If your adjusted gross income, when you answer the question I just showed on the other slide, is less than 100,000, you will automatically get a fee waiver. Or if you can mark any of these boxes in this question under the parent benefits section, you will get a pop-up when you hit save and continue. What it says here, based on this information, you have a fee waiver. The CSS Profile costs $25 for the first school, because there's a one-time registration fee of $9 in there, and then $16 for each subsequent school. So if this is you, it's awesome. You're going to save some money, and you'll be putting in your credit card at the end. But if you have a waiver, you'll see all your schools listed or your child schools, and it'll just have zeros there. So keep that in mind. That's a nice little change. So as far as parent information, you can see here, to give you a few screenshots of the stuff that they ask in these first two. MJ is the mom in my sample family here, but you notice there's no required here. So if you don't want to answer these, you really don't have to. Again, a lot of these have strategy behind them, and that's not something, your families are all different. So we can't give you, I can't sit here and give you advice, but just trying to give you an idea of what they're asking and what's not required. You will notice over here on the right, the parent retirement accounts, that is required. And I didn't get into this, but not only non-retirement assets go into the calculation for the student aid index. So you might be thinking, well, why the heck are they asking this? That's a great question. It never used to be a required question. The last 2 years it has been. As I said, first commandment here is to be honest. So it's required. This is your call, what you want to put there. I will tell you that we've heard from some of our experts on our team that are currently in financial aid offices at Harvard School of Medicine, MIT, and ex-USC head of financial aid. And they have shared that if you have a lower balance in your retirement accounts, that can actually help, because the college looks at it and says, oh, Mom and dad are, 61 and they don't have a huge nest egg. So we're going to take that into account when we're awarding funds, right? This is their endowment money. So they have their methodologies, but they can do it in their own proprietary way. So that question, the only time you're not going to see that question is if you don't make pre-tax retirement contributions, then that question does not pop up. So if you don't see it, that's why. This is the question hands down that most parents, every parent I've ever talked to is like, oh, what is this, Peg? What do I do here? First of all, you want to read the question. It's asking what the parent, how much does Peg, which is the student here, expect to receive from the following sources? And this is the parents. So it tells you what not to include. But this question, you got to be careful because it could hurt you. And there's nothing you're going to put here that's necessarily going to help you get more money from the college, but there are answers that you could put down that will hurt you. You don't want to put a number higher than your SAI. So it's really important to know what your SAI is. And at the different CSS profile schools, and Matt's going to show you in a little bit that there's actually a range of SAIs for these schools. So it's not as cut and dry as the FAFSA. So that's the thing here. Be really careful what you put here. You've got to think about your family and your SAIs, and of course, what you can afford, because that's partially what they're asking. So divorced and separated families, and this webinar isn't about the FAFSA, but Matt's going to touch on this later, but I'll cover this point because kind of need to go through this. As far as, remember when I said two different CSS profiles, a non-custodial and the regular, if you're divorced or separated, and the custodial parent sends the CSS profile, well, how do you know who the custodial parent is? They're defining it here. I clicked on the deal, but it is the parent that provides the most financial support on a year look back from when you're hitting submit, not a tax year, not a calendar year. Okay. So basically, if this is due December 1 for your family, you still have some time here. So don't just knee jerk that, oh, I'm receiving child support, so it's definitely me. It's definitely my ex because he's paying or she's paying child support, whatever that is. If you are close, a lot of families will come to us and say, we're almost 50-50 or pretty much 50-50 on paper. So strategize here. You hear me say this over and over again, right? Do some planning. Figure out which parent is most advantageous to be the custodial parent, and then make sure you're following the rules. If it truly is even to the penny, then have that parent spend a little bit more money. Like, these are the things you want to think through and sit down with somebody and think about all the different things. It's well worth your time to do this. It's really going to matter on the FAFSA because only one parent submits it. For the CSS, I'm going through this, but you're both going to be submitting it, but you want that custodial parent to be the same as on the FAFSA when you do the FAFSA in a little bit. So they're going to ask you about that. They're going to define the custodial parent and say, who's the custodial parent? And then you're going to mark and go through your questions. So let's just go here and do a little, this is kind of a bit of a summary, and I might hit a couple things that I didn't talk about. As I said at the beginning, with non-required questions, it's your call. Don't feel like you have to answer all of them. If it's to your benefit to answer them, you might want to, right? It just depends. You're going to be uploading those tax returns, so they're going to see them. They're going to see your tax returns. You're not trying to hide anything, is my point. You don't want to overvalue your primary residence. You really don't want to overvalue any of your real estate. I just met with a family today. They have a home in Boston. They also have a vacation home on the Cape. So you don't want to overvalue either one. And there's strategies behind that.
Find out.
I'm sorry?
So where are they on the Cape? Do we know?
It was like Wells. It was near Chatham because I didn't know the place, but they said it was near Chatham.
Was it Wellfleet? That was up close to Wellfleet, close to where
That's
you were.
close to P-Town. That's because I told them I went to P-Town. So they said, oh, we love it there. But their place is closer to Chatham.
Okay. All right. Well,
That's more toward the bottom, Chatham, right?
Oh, Peggy, I wish I had my tank top on right now, right? Because
Oh my God.
Chatham's right here. So,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
but I don't think anybody tuned in to get a Cape Cod geography lesson
Yeah,
from me.
I know. I know. Thanks for that
Yeah.
interruption. That was very relevant to the topic. Anyways, you don't want to overvalue your residences. You want to be honest, but you don't want to overvalue. With 529 accounts, a lot of you probably have those. You want to make sure that's included. Remember, I said income and assets. That's an asset of yours as a parent if you're the owner. If grandma's the owner, it's not even included, right? So, asset of yours, that's a big mistake because on the CSS profile, student assets are assessed at 25%, whereas parent is assessed at 5%. So if you have a nice 529 and for your other kids as well, and you put that in the wrong bucket, that can really sting and be an error that shoots up your SAI. As we talked about, you don't want to overstate how much you can pay for college, right? You don't want to put $50,000 because you think, oh, well, that means that my kid's going to get into the school. That's not a good way of thinking about this. And a lot of schools are never even looking at the CSS profile when they're admitting your child. To be honest, they're just not doing that. Some are going to look at the family's ability to pay when they're rounding out their class, but they're not doing it for each student. And honestly, if you can't afford the school, you need to be honest, right? You don't want to overinflate it and then all of a sudden you're leveraging your retirement to make it happen. That's not where you want to be. You don't want to be part of the 1.7 trillion of debt, right? Don't overestimate future earnings. They're going to ask you about 2023 and 2024. You might be scratching your head again saying, why are they doing that? It's all about the tax year 2022. You're exactly right, but they're asking anyways. They're required questions. Put what you absolutely know you're going to make, not a penny more. And Matt's already harped on this, but it is super important. If your kids aren't good with deadlines, they miss handing in assignments, that stinks in high school. It might affect a GPA, but it really stinks if you miss deadlines. I had a family, they reached out to me. She has a junior at Southern Cal. She said, the package is so much different than the year before Peg. I'd never met her. I was trying to get into the weeds on it. Why could that be? And I talked to JP, who's one of our experts because he was at Southern Cal. I was like, I'm backing into this. I can see a few things, but what are your thoughts? Since you were there. And the first thing he just said is, did she miss the deadline? Even for upperclassmen, that could mean $10,000 less in a package. So really, as a parent, I have twins. I was not a helicopter parent. I was the furthest thing from that. But when it came to making sure my kids were on top of these deadlines, I was all over it because it was money out of my pocket. So really, really make sure it's a good skill for them to learn if that's an area that they struggle. And it's going to be a win-win for maximizing your aid potentially. All right, turning it back to you.
Sorry, finishing this question here. And it's kind of topical for everybody, right? Because the question was something, it was school specific, but how do I apply for scholarships at the colleges? Generally speaking, for the vast majority of colleges, when you apply there, just through the standard admissions process, you're applying for all their scholarships, right? Automatically, and they're going to decide whether or not you're eligible if they offer scholarships, which is another important point, right? For a lot of people, it's not common knowledge. There's about 100 colleges in the country, and they happen to be oftentimes kind of these household brand names, whatever you want to call them. Scholarships don't exist, right? So there's not one Ivy League college that offers scholarships, right? Nobody. Peggy's alma mater, if you spend more than 5 minutes with Peggy, she's going to tell you she went to Cornell, right?
They just spent 40 minutes with me and they don't know that. That is not true.
Cornell, I'm a recruited athlete. That's so, but she wasn't there on a scholarship, right? If you are in today, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, or you're the most gifted person in the world, you are not getting a scholarship. They don't exist at these colleges. So if we're seeking scholarships, the first thing we want to know is for the colleges we're interested in, is it even a thing there, right? Because it may not be. Now, again, like I said at the top, generally speaking, there's not anything we need to do to throw our hat in the ring for scholarships outside of applying, but there are exceptions. Okay. So something that I always recommend, this is what I was just writing in the chat, is that you're probably applying for the scholarships just by applying to the college, but always take that extra step, go on to the admissions website, or call or email the admissions office and ask, do you guys have scholarships that we would apply for outside of the standard admissions process? It's always worth the extra effort there. So good question.
Well, we can also show them in a little bit where they can find some of that.
Great call. Great call. Thank you. Okay. So we've teased a couple of these FAFSA changes already, but let's just quickly hit the highlights. Let's start with the good stuff, right? Let's build ourselves up a little bit here. If we go down to the 5th bullet point here, there's more help on the way for families that need it the most, right? If you're a family that's tuning in here and you're like, we don't have any resources, we're a first generation family, there's no income, there's no savings, there's more help on the way for you guys, right? And we're all psyched about that. Okay, so the Pell Grant, which is the federal government program, free money program for families that don't have much in the way of income, in the way of savings, that's increasing. The threshold is increasing. So again, I think that's the best thing we can say about these FAFSA changes. And kind of in that same vein is that the FAFSA, the form itself, is going to be a lot easier to complete. The amount of questions are going down significantly. Some other wins here is that if you have a 529, or I should say specifically multiple 529s, if you have multiple kids and you have multiple 529s, one for each of them, they're not counting 529s against you for any savings that are in other siblings' name, younger siblings, or if you have multiples, they're only counting the 529 for the student that's going to college. So
I'm just going to break in there because as you and I talked about, Matt, that's what we've heard from the horse's mouth, but there's rumors that they're waffling on this. So we're sharing what we heard directly from the Department of Ed. When this all gets finalized, if they've waffled, we'll let you know, but that's what they have initially said. So just keep that in mind in case you read something.
A good break-in. It's a good break-in. In other words, that could change. That remains to be seen there. But at the moment, that's the deal. And then lastly, our contributions towards our 401ks, our 403bs, they're not being added back in. In other words, they're not holding those against us, for lack of a better term there. So that's another win. I think some of these changes that are not necessarily, and in some cases definitely not a good thing. Let me start at 4 here. Business owners, they're going to get smoked. Okay, on the whole, it used to be if you had less than 100 employees, they're not even asking you anything about your business. They want you to put 0 when they ask you about your business assets, investments, and net worth. That's gone completely. Peg mentioned it. Now, even if you're a sole proprietor, they want to know about the worth of your business. Please talk to us. If you're a business owner, please talk to us on a one-on-one basis before you hit submit on that FAFSA, because most business owners are going to step on this landmine that just got incredibly large, and it's going to be hard to avoid. So please talk to us if you're a business owner, because I would argue that might be the group that's being negatively impacted the worst in some of these changes. But you can make a strong argument for points 2 and 3 here. If you have more than one kid in college at once, we've got a bunch of questions about this already, as we always do. So Peg, if this rule had been in effect when she sent her twins to college, whatever, what was that, like 40 years ago, Peg, something like that? When you're
yeah, okay, you're really pushing it now.
So when Peggy sent her kids to college, the rule was, I think, as it should be, it accounted for the fact that you have 2 kids in school at once. They're getting rid of that. And so effectively, the cost of college is going to double for most families that have more than 1 kid in school. Okay. at the same time, right? Whether they're multiples in the same grade or just overlapping for 1, 2, or 3 years. That's a problem. It's not at every college. It's not at every college, but schools that use the federal methodology that are FAFSA only schools, that's one of the new, I think, terrible rule changes. And then you've heard us talk about a couple times the fact that these split household, 2-household families, they now want the family or the household that provides the most financial support to the student to be the one that completes the FAFSA. So those are the biggies. I mean, again, especially if you are in any of those buckets, and bullets kind of 1 through 4, we feel very passionate that we would like you to talk to us and have us stare at your financial aid applications before you hit submit to these colleges, because I think there's some things that we can do to help you. But anyways, those are kind of the highlights there. Peggy, if you would here. So, for some of you, you've already gone early decision or early action with November 1st. Obviously, we have November 15th, exactly a week away, and then December 1st and 15th and January 1st and 15th with a lot of ED2s, coming up over the next several weeks. We get this question all the time. Should we go early decision? Is it going to hurt our aid chances? Is it going to help our chances of getting in? This is the general company line. Of course, this is not a blanket recommendation for everybody, because that's not a thing. But this is how I coach it. And I think Peg and I are pretty aligned, and just about everybody on our team fits somewhere in this, I guess, side of the spectrum. Where for me, if you're asking me this individually as a family, this is how I'm going to coach it. I'm going to say, listen, you need to check 2 boxes with a lot of confidence, right? Number 1, if you're thinking about going early decision to a school, this has to be your epiphany school for your kid. They're one of these fewer percentage of students that is like, this is the place I have to go. This is my happy place. I need to be here. And there's very little ambivalence. They're just kind of, again, fortunate enough to be one of these kids that has that experience. Okay. And they're in the minority. Okay. The loud minority, but they are in the minority. So we have to check that box. As parents, it is our responsibility and obligation to know about how much this college is going to cost us if we're accepted. Okay. And we have to be able to stare at that number over the course of 4 years, not just 1 year, and say, we can do this as a family. Like, we can pull this off, and we're not being reckless or financially irresponsible to our kids or our kid or us as parent or parents, right? And if we can check both of those boxes with a good amount of confidence, not much ambivalence at all there, let's go. Bombs away, let's sign off on the ED. You have our full blessing. Not that you need it, of course, but if you're on the fence and really wavering on either 2 of those boxes, both like, this is my happy place, and we feel comfortable with this price point, we would want you to really pause and probably consider early action or regular decision or whatever. So that's the talk track. And it's what I believe. And again, we have a lot of experience with that, and hopefully that's helpful. I don't know a better, more precise way to coach it, because obviously it's this is a gray area, and there's not an easy kind of yes or no. But yeah, I think that's it for me there, Peggy. And I'll probably want to share my screen here to kind of bring some of this stuff home. So let's look at, I saw that most of you, Peg, and if you could again share this link, because I know a couple of people were asking for it. I saw most of you created your MyCap accounts already, which is awesome, because you're able to answer some of the big things we talked about tonight. What's your family's SAI, right? What is the foundation of how much these colleges are expecting you to pay on an annual basis? What are these colleges actually going to cost you, right? If you're accepted. So as we're thinking about ED, okay, I want you to stare at these net costs that your family is going to be expected to pay if you're accepted here, and be able to figure out and kind of stomach, does this work for us, right? And not just 1 year, but what's it going to cost over 4 years when we bake in inflation and siblings going in and out versus our budget? In other words, how much might somebody have to borrow, whether it's a student, whether it's parents, whether it's both, if we go here, right? This is your crystal ball, guys. So take advantage of it. Okay. And just quickly, you have every private scholarship in the country baked into this platform here. If we click into any college, like Peg says, right? If I want to look at, well, why are we showing a discount at UMass Amherst? Well, they're going to get a merit-based scholarship because they're a smart kid, right? For every college in the country, we have every scholarship that they're offering, the qualifications for each, and we're really good at telling you how much is your kid going to get. Now, even if you're pretty solid on what your list of colleges is, or even if it's concrete, if you're working with me, I'm probably going to tell you, if I don't think it's already airtight, I want you to apply to your top choices competitors, because we're going to take that offer and we're going to use it as leverage when you get in, and we're going to get more money from them during the appeal process. You've heard me talk about that with some of you guys during the Q&A. I had a different year, and 2023 was completely different than my tax year in 2022. So this is something that again is incredibly important in this process. When we get these offers back from colleges, we don't want to accept that it's a take it or leave it. And that's another really powerful thing our platform does, because you can upload that offer here and we're going to tell you, how did you do? Did you get a fair deal from this school? What's your likelihood of going back and pushing back for more? And how do we do that specifically? So again, I know most of you created your accounts already. Hopefully you're kind of getting a lot of your answers to your questions in there. If you haven't, make sure that you do it.
Did you show, Matt, sorry, I was doing my questions. Did you go in and show like the merit awards under a school and how the top ones? Yeah. So there's the automatic ones, but we also have ones in there that are the bigger ones. If a school has them, not all of them do, where it might require an extra application, and we have all that information for you. So
yeah, exactly. It's all baked in there. Any school you're thinking about, it's all baked in there. And okay, so here's kind of next steps, right? I mean, I'll let Peg speak for herself and give her the floor here, but in a bit. But our big thing is, if we did our job, you have to engage beyond just tonight, right? You have to do something. And we've worked really hard to try to provide a service and a price point that works for essentially any family that we might interface with. Okay, so at a minimum, our firm recommendation is that you have your free account, and if you don't, you can set it up right now, and you can go up here and you can hit the upgrade button. It'll say upgrade or talk to an expert, and you can select this option, Premium Plus Expert. Use coupon code APPS20. Okay, you get 20% off. This is only for live folks. You'll see those of your peers that weren't able to make it tonight, they're going to get the recording tomorrow. They'll get some type of discount. It's not going to be near 20% off. This is about as steep as we discount. But this Premium Plus Expert option gives you the full version of our platform. You can put unlimited schools in there. You can go figure out who's going to give you the most in financial aid and scholarships, who competes with one another directly. But in addition to that, and probably more powerful, you get an hour with myself, with Peg, any of the experts on our team. Now, if you need to use that hour soon, I don't think you'll be able to get on Peg or my calendar in the next couple of weeks. So you have to meet with some of the experts, but go on our website and look at the experts on our team. You can meet with the director of financial aid of Harvard, MIT, the former one at USC, folks that have been doing this for 20 years. You're gonna the director of scholarships at the University of Oklahoma, right? You can meet with any of us, and you can use that hour at any point over the next year. If you think you might benefit from meeting with any of us over the next year, book that tonight. You can use it right now if you want us to stare at your CSS profile. If you've already submitted it and you want to talk us to go over and see if we can make corrections, which 9 times out of 10 at least, we will have corrections that will likely add to you being eligible for more money. Take advantage of that. Nobody wants to think about spending money as they're staring $90,000 sticker prices in the face. You're going to get a return on the investment regardless of how you engage with us. So at a minimum, do this tonight. Don't overthink it. Take advantage of the full capacity of the software and book an hour with one of us. Okay. I'm biased. It's a friggin' no-brainer. Okay. Don't overthink that. The next kind of levels of service is that if you want us to actually complete your FAFSA, complete your CSS profile, we will do that. And not only will we complete that form, we'll do it strategically. It's like having a great CPA, right? You invest to qualify for more deductions than if you did this thing on your own. That's the concept here, guys. We're extremely good at it. We've been doing it forever. Collectively, you're not going to find a better group in the world that does this. You're going to get a return on the investment, especially if you have a November 15th deadline. You have to book this package tonight. That's not a scarcity tactic. We can't do your forms. Forget about the discount. Yes, you'll get whatever it is, $300 off if you book tonight using the coupon code. And Peg, if you didn't put the link in the chat, please do.
I did. I put it in a while ago, but let me
if you have a 11/15 deadline, you have to book tonight, or else we can't do. If you have a December 1st deadline or longer, we can take you tomorrow or next week, no problem. But if you have 11/15, you have to do it tonight, full stop. Our comprehensive service, we call it our wake me up when it's over, or white glove service. This is where you work with one of us, one-on-one, unlimited amount from now until your student actually moves into their dorm next fall, or if you're a class 2025 family, a year from this fall. Yes, we do your financial aid applications. We do the FAFSA, we do the CSS profile, unlimited amount of meetings, unlimited hours. We're going to make sure that you're applying to competing schools so we can leverage them against one another. We're going to be the ones that are involved on the front lines with the negotiations. We're going to leverage our team and our organic relationships to get more money from the colleges that you've been accepted into. Again, something we're very good at. And then eventually we're going to talk to you about, well, how am I going to pay this bill? So if you're a family that has some means, we're going to help you figure out, well, should we use the 529 first, the UGMA, or grandparent contributions, and how can we be smart from a tax standpoint? If you're a family that needs to borrow some or all of this, how are you going to get the best rate? Should it be under the kid's name? Should it be under your name as parent or parents? Should it be both? Should we do it through the federal government, the state, or the private sector? So again, and Peggy will tell you, we did this last night because we made a mistake, but it doesn't matter. But we don't discount it lower than this. And again, this will just be for tonight. So there is some urgency there, but wherever you are, if you're a DIYer, just book an hour. Okay. If you want some more help, do one of these packages, do it tonight. You're going to get a return on the investment. It's going to be crystal clear and you're going to thank yourself, even though it's painful to bring out the checkbook in the moment. Totally get it. Now, let me say one thing. We had this happen last night and twice last week. If you are trying to book an hour right now and trying to upgrade and is not working, we've had too many people try to do that at once, and essentially there's been a glitch of sorts on our tech side on the platform where it just hasn't been working. Okay, if you are trying to book an hour and upgrade and it's not working, just write into support at College Aid Pro, or wait another half hour, 20 minutes, hour, whatever, and it should work fine. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work tonight, just write into us tomorrow. Tell us that. We will honor tonight's discount, because we had some people have problems with that last night and twice last week, where just too many people. I think, Peggy, I believe the kids would call this a humble brag. Is it a humble brag if I was talking about so many people were trying to engage with us that we couldn't?
You can say that. Most of the time your brags aren't humble, but that falls in there.
I'm evolving. I'm growing. Now I do humble brags. So hopefully that's helpful. I mean, look, especially for those of you that are new to us, if it feels too soon to engage with us in any capacity, we're not going anywhere. Peggy and I do this all the time. We got some special deals tonight, but we're going to continue, like it or not, we're going to continue to coach up the masses to those that will listen to us. And hopefully this was helpful. As I flagged at the top, we're not able to get to every question. We're outmatched from a volume standpoint. We can't answer the personal questions without having a full hour to unpack the specifics of your situation. Would be reckless for us to do so. But again, we're going to continue to educate anyone and everyone that will listen to us. So, and anyway,
hold on, let me resend somebody asked.
I'm getting some compliments here in the Q&A. I don't know if you are.
You were? That's great. I didn't see any, but you're just really killing it tonight. What
I
can
guess
I
you'll have to
say?
take my word for it.
Well, let me see over here. No, it is not too early if you have a junior. Actually, it's the perfect time. You got to understand that the tax year that matters in this starts middle of sophomore year in high school. So I don't remember seeing any 26s, but I saw some 25s at the beginning. You are not ahead of the game at all. Like it's a perfect time to as Matt said, sign up for the software. He gave you a glimpse of it. It's super powerful, and we've created it very intentionally to follow the whole journey from when you're planning all the way through making that decision. For seniors now, if you've got a senior, all the way through when you're making that decision in May and how you're going to pay the bill. And our full service, the Wake Me When It's Over, same thing. It takes you all the way through to waving goodbye if that lands for you. I mean, so many people get so stressed about the forms. If that's keeping you up at night, then let us step in and support you on that. Or like Matt said, an hour. Most parents need an hour or two to get through this process. It's a lot. It's a lot. Doesn't have to be as stressful as it is, but having some guidance. It's just like people get guidance to do their tax returns, or they don't do their wills by going online through a website, and we're talking about some big bucks here, right? So
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
100%. I think we got some questions around kind of the mechanics. Again, if you already have an account, it'll say upgrade here, free account. If you already have a premium account, it'll say talk to an expert. And then you can just, when you click on this, it'll say, okay, click here to book your one-on-one expert. You can either choose the next available, or again, you can meet with any of our experts, choose myself, choose Peggy, you're on here, right?
I'm at the top. Where else would I be?
Facts, buddy. Facts. I should have known. I'm surprised you're not before the next available. We'll have to talk to the dev team, but you can choose who you want to meet with. Now, if you're on the free version first, it'll ask you to choose the premium plus expert. And then once you're in your account, you will hit this. And again, you can choose an individual or next available. And that's again, kind of the X's and O's of how to.
Yeah, if you already have the premium and you want to book an hour, then that's $2.99. And you should still be able, hopefully, use that coupon, right, Matt? Even if somebody's booking, like if they already have premium and they just want to book.
Yeah, the coupon will still work. Yep.
Yeah. So definitely don't forget about that. Don't forget about that coupon. So as Matt said, we'll keep showing up in your inbox, trying to educate you along the way.
And again, we we have an affiliation with NSHSS. We love NSHSS. I think it's a reciprocal relationship. And so all of our families, again, that is the reason why you're getting discounts the way that you're getting them tonight, because this is a specific NSHSS event. So all right, Peggy. I think I feel like we left it all out there. I'm sure we missed something. We'll figure out.
One last thing somebody's asking. Yeah, you do need to submit the CSS profile now. Like Matt said, if you've got November 15th deadlines, you need our help. Book the hour, book the package. But yeah, don't wait for the FAFSA, because they've got deadlines for the CSS, and then you're gonna be hurting your need-based eligibility,
yeah, again, like I said,
eligibility, but the amount of money they're going to give you. So yeah, we're not timing this like previous years. You got to get that CSS in by that deadline, and then we'll wait and see what the deadline is at these schools for the FAFSA, and that's going to be based on when it goes live. So yeah, you need to jump on that, because there's going to be, if you're EA, the deadlines are coming fast and furious. So
100%. All right, Peggy.
All
Good night.
right. Have a good night, everybody.
Let's go Hokies. Let's go. You got your Cape Cod lesson. There's Chatham right there, Peggy. Okay.
I have to apologize for the audience. I will apologize for my buddy here.
Wait till
And on
summer.
that note, we will let you go.
Good night,
Bye-bye,
everybody.
everybody.